Hello, Serge here from the Backyard Driving Range. We have a question that came into the site, and it is from Bob, and he says, you were addressing seniors and their loss of distance. One of the suggestions you made was to shorten the shaft on the driver. Can this be accomplished by choking down on the shaft or taking the grip off and cutting an inch off the shaft and then re-gripping it? Yes, and yes. It can be accomplished either way. And first thing I want to say, and I'm sure Doc Griffin will confirm what I'm saying, is on any golf club, including the driver, if you do cut anything off the butt end of the club, the end of the shaft, and re-grip it, well, the only thing you lose is probably a few swing weights, and you can fix that up by putting lead tape on it. My 3-wood here, this driver was made from scratch for me at the short length of 43 inches that I swing, but my 3-wood was originally one of DJ's clubs, which is almost an inch and a half too long for me, and it's full of lead tape. I got stripes across here, I got some over there, tape across the back and up the back of the hosel. I had to put a lot of tape on it because shortening it an inch and a half, the head was way too light, and I had to really firm up the amount of tape that's on it to get the weight back to normal, where it would in fact be heavy enough with enough mass there to load the shaft and kick it for me. So again, with the driver, you might, or at any club, you might have to put a little bit of weight on it if you make that change. Choking it up shouldn't affect it that much because you still have the head there, but again, if you find that you're hitting the ball thin a lot, you might try getting a piece of lead tape, or magic dust as I call it, and putting some around it. Now, if you're tending for the ball to fade a little bit or to go right, I would always say try to put the weight closer to the heel, because that way when you slow the heel down coming impact, the toe can slow up. Now, again, if you had these problems of setting to block the ball or slice it, and you put the weight on the toe, all you're doing is putting more weight out there, more weight on the toe is going to slow the toe up and keep it open longer, or even more, and you hit even worse to the right. So that's a little tip, that if you want to straight, if you're leaving things straight or to the right, and especially if they're starting right and moving more right, fading or slicing, stop putting the tape near the heel, all right, on the back side of the club here. Normally when I put a strip on, I'll always make sure that when I got it where I want it, I take a tee out and I rub it down to really get it on there, a good tight adhesion to, that it's going to really adhere to the club really tight. Okay, so that works. Now, as far as whether I cut or choke, that's up to you. I personally am not a guy that likes to just choke up on all my clubs. I can choke up if I'm hitting a knockdown shot, where I'm trying to hit a low knockdown bullet, say straight into the wind or into a quite coming into me crosswind. But for normal shots, I just don't like choking up to just stand here and make my normal swing and hit normal shots. I just don't like choking up. Now, on the other side of the coin, we know there's a couple of really good players out there that do it. Sergio Garcia chokes up like crazy, and so does Anthony Kim. But I think I know in Anthony's case, I'm pretty sure I heard that he once said that when he first started playing golf and had his first couple sets of clubs or whatever, were more adult-sized clubs, and he wasn't big enough for him, he choked up like crazy, and he just got used to choking up. And so it works for him, and I guess if he's going to hit a knockdown, he might choke down a little bit more. But they're choked up pretty good, at least an inch, both of those guys, Sergio and Anthony Kim, and I'm sure there's a couple other guys out there that do it. So for whatever reason, they started that way, or they really like it. But I prefer to have the club pretty much normal, where the back of the butt of the hand is just about at that line around the top of the cap. You do not want the top of the cap to be at or inside the, shall we say, the heel of your hand, because that means now that the club is too close to being outside of your last finger. That's going to give you control of maintaining a good grip. So you always want to say at least a 1/4 inch of the cap to be no higher than the heel of your hand. And so again, as I said, either way works. If you take enough off, you pretty much likely will have to put some lead tape. If you have doubts with that or troubles with it, go see a certified swing surgeon fitter, and he can help you. And in fact, most top level players, just see anybody with lead tape on their club and they can probably help you out, because if they got it on there, they either did it themselves or they had somebody help them and they got a pretty good idea about it. You can buy lead tape from almost any fitter, and most golf shops carry it. Sometimes they have these little displays with little bags of it, or they might even have a roll of tape if they do club repair and stuff at the club you play at, and they can cut you off some and either give it to you or they charge you a small fee, because lead tape is quite expensive and it is quite heavy, and I, like myself, I never am without lead tape in my bag, or magic ducks as I call it. So try choking. If it works, then you can decide. If choking up's okay, don't cut it. If you want to cut it, then you know where to cut it. And like I said, just don't stop at a half inch or an inch. Measure your driver to begin with so you know what you're starting with. And if you got a driver that's out there 45 inches and you're under 5'10", shall we say, or even 6 feet, go ahead and take it down to 2 inches and then work your way up and down and keep track of the results and get your idea of what works best for you. Just don't cut it for starters. I'd say definitely choke up and find out, is a half inch the right amount for you, or 3/4 of an inch, 5/8 of an inch, or whatever. Just keep trying all those different trials and error and find out, and then finally cut it to that size. Trial and error is the key. And what does trial and error tell you? The results of your contact and the flight will tell you. When you got good contacts and good flights that you like, and you stop at that point, that's what you mark. And if you're going to cut it, that's what you cut it to. And then that way you got it right. So just don't do it at the first one. Try move it up and down and watch the results, because it's like anything else. It's finding the optimum point, the point that gives you the best results for both impact, flight trajectory, flight shape, and distance. Okay? So just don't grab at the first one. Be smart, do a little testing, and find out what works best for you. Trial and error. And then when you choose the best one, it won't be error anymore. It'll be trial and correct. Okay? Well, that's it for the search for today about choking up, cutting your shaft, and then putting lead tape on it. Okay? That's it for today, and I'll be talking to you all again soon.